So this is Germany's E100 Super Heavy Tank that was never built in World War II. So this model is pre-made and it was made by Easy Model, all in 1/72 scale. So we're going to find out if this model deserves to be on your shelf. So as always, let's get started. Hey guys, Gene here from artistichobbies.com, doing another review on this E100 Super Heavy Tank from Easy Model. And let's get into this. This is the first time I've done a review on any of Easy Model's pre-built tanks. As you know, I've been doing a lot of reviews on Dragon Armor's pre-built tanks in 1/72 scale, and this is also in 1/72 scale. So as always, let's take a look at the packaging. Has a little warning here for ages 14 and up. They're calling this German Jagdpanzer E100 from Easy Model. Let's look at one of the sides. We'll take a look at the other side. Now the bottom side here, which I'm kind of surprised compared to Dragon Armor's boxing. There's a lot of warnings on this packaging. Has copyright information on it, 2021. It's for children over 14 years of age, but they also specify not for children under 3 years due to small parts, which I find interesting. Now on the back side here, so it came in 2 different paint schemes, and if you're interested in one of these paint schemes, here's the model numbers, and it also gives some information on this particular E100 variant. Now this variant is a turretless version, and I don't think there was ever any drawings made up of a turretless version, even though more than likely they probably would have made a turretless version, and this is a replication of what it would actually look like. So what's nice about the packaging, if you can see in the background, has like a brick background, and it's also on the very top there. I'm not sure if you can see it, and it's also on the very bottom too. So it's nice that they incorporate like a background in the packaging itself. So I'm going to zoom back out here, guys. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this out of its packaging. I'm going to open up this side. As you can see, nice brick inside, even though you wouldn't see that side. But anyway, go ahead and pull this bad boy out of its carton. Now it has some foam on the sides here, just to protect the tank during shipping, which is very nice. It has a cardboard bottom side here, held in place by 2 Phillips screws. We'll take off in a minute, but these come off quite easily, as you can see. So you can see how that interlocks. But anyway, let's go ahead and take this tank off its base here. Get my Phillips screwdriver. Okay, I think I got one there. Two. you can see the screws went into the bottom chassis here. Now, like I said, this is the first time I've done a review on Easy model. And this particular Easy model is their platinum collectible version. So I'm not sure if there's a gold version also or something like that. So if you guys know a little bit more than I do, please leave it in the comments. So let's just take a little walk around this model. Now, I did buy this on eBay, and if I'm not mistaken, I paid $24, and that included shipping. So it's a very inexpensive model to buy. And like I said, this is all pre-built in 1/72 scale. So one thing I do notice right off the, even though I like the paint scheme, it is very shiny in color. And you're going to also see some paint marks. They're more prevalent around the brownish. Thing is, I assume these were painted, but I'm not sure if they were hand painted or some kind of machine during production painted this on. But I do like the scheme of the paint camouflage on this, even though it has a glossy finish to the paint itself. Now, as far as the tracks, they look like they were painted because you can see some peeling of the paint on the bottom of the tracks, some here. But I do like the color of the tracks, so that could always be weathered a little bit more to make it look more realistic. So that doesn't bother me too much. So you got your front sprocket, actually nicely detailed. Rear idler. You got your main wheels, but they are not weathered, even though they have some good detail on them. Now, as far as features, this is kind of interesting here. More than likely, this is some kind of hoist. Either a hoist to lift up the side skirt armor that's right here, or to lift up ammo for the shells for the main gun here. So if you guys know what this maybe was used for, or could have been used for, please let me know in the comments. And it looks like there'd be several areas this hoist would be mounted, like probably right here, and also on this side of the upper hull. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, I did do another video comparing at least the style of this tank to a Jagdpanther, and I'll leave that link towards the end of this video so you guys can see that. Now, on the top here, they do have an MG34 machine gun. And this would probably be some kind of optics for the main gun. These two things, more than likely, is for ventilation. And you have two more hatches here. Looks like they were molded into the plastic themselves. They have a little bit of detail. Not too bad. Now, the rear deck here, where the engine would be, and the engine would be a 1200 horsepower Mavic engine, and 1200 horsepower was not going to be enough to push this beast, that's for sure. But kind of wish the screening back here was a little bit more detailed. You got the rear hatch to bring in ammo. The crew would go into this way probably too, but more or less for ammo to go into the main hull here. I'm not too sure what this would be. Either a machine gun port, maybe? Not too sure. If you guys have any idea, please leave it in the comments. Now this is more than likely for an antenna. I could always add one later on. Now as far as the rear exhaust, you got some tow hooks. You got some plating here. You got your exhaust here with some armor plating around the exhaust. Not too bad. As far as the front here, you got some tow hooks. You got yourself a light. And the main gun here, which I think was done very nicely. So you got some holes here that they don't go all the way through, but it's done nicely. But there is a seam line that goes along the barrel here. So it's a two-piece plastic barrel. Let's see if we see one on the bottom here, which I do see. So there's that seam line. They could have done a little bit better on that. And since we're on the bottom here, they got a little bit of weathering down here. Looks like they attempted to do some weathering, but nowhere else on the tank there's weathering, which I find kind of interesting, because I think weathering could actually bring out some of the highlights of the mesh back here and some of the parts that are back here. Same with up here. Well, weathering can maybe make these hatches stick out a little nicer. But one thing that I wish Easy Model did a little better is how the plating came together. So you can tell right here, it's not detailed whatsoever. Same over here. Let's take a look at the front here. But overall, for what I paid for this model, it's not too bad. But what my plans are for this model, let me know what you guys think about this. I think I want to primer the whole thing and repaint the paint job. And I'll probably do the same for the wheels also. Because like I said, the paint job on here has a very shiny appearance to it. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this E100 Super Heavy Tank that was never built in World War II. Even though the U.S. Army did find almost a finished lower hull, and eventually that lower hull was given to Britain, I believe, for target practice. But if you guys are into war gaming or the world of tanks, you guys know all about the E100. But as of right now, there's no blueprints of a turretless version, even though I believe they probably would have made a turretless version. But there was no drawings up for this particular tank. So it's more or less a fantasy tank, more or less. And so if you do decide to buy this model and maybe repaint it and stuff, you could add a bunch of other stuff to it, because there's no right or wrong on how this tank was actually going to be equipped. Like, for example, I could add some tow cables, on each side, maybe a couple more machine guns, maybe have a fixed mount MG34 machine gun up over here. So there's a lot of neat things you actually could do with this tank. So if you guys don't know much about the E line of tanks that Germany had on the drawing board, E series is basically drawn up to cut costs, streamline production, and share parts among the E line of tanks to simplify everything, which was desperately needed for their production lines in World War II. Anyway, there was going to be 5 different variants. So you would have the E10, the E25, the E50, which would replace the Panthers and the Tiger 1s. You had the E75, which would replace the Tiger 2s and the Yog Tigers. And you have this one, which is this E100, the Super Heavy Tank. But like I said, E series was meant to streamline production, cut costs, and just make it much easier to replace parts, especially on the battlefield, as these, if they broke down on the battlefield, did be fairly easy to fix and replace because a lot of the parts would be interchangeable with other tanks on the battlefield. As you know, most all German tanks are over-engineered, so when they did break down on the battlefield, it was almost impossible to fix them. So having the E line would actually make things easier on the battlefield, especially when it comes to repairs or fixing something on the battlefield. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this E100 Super Heavy Tank that was never built in World War II from Easy Model and all in 1/72 scale. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit that like button and subscribe button so you can keep up to date on our latest videos. Until next time, guys, have a good one.